Hi Dhruv, good morning. How are
Hi,
you doing?
hi Kiran, all good. I think
I'm 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 so happy that finally I get to host a Bombay boy. It's someone that I have been observing with in concurrent with my own journey, which started in 2013. But 2014 was when you set up hashtag loyalty. So it's a privilege and a very unique experience where I get to host someone whom I've known before they started up and as they have gained success in the startup journey. So welcome Dhruv, and thank you for joining us for our fourth edition of Startup Circles. Just for the audience's context, Dhruv is one of the trio that's behind hashtag loyalty. Hashtag loyalty raised a round of seed fund and recently raised undisclosed amount in pre-series A. A little bit for the audience from you about hashtag loyalty and about Thrive.
thank you, Kiran. I think it's my pleasure being here. And some background, right? I mean, we're probably 5 years old now as a SaaS platform. I think our mindset has always been very SaaS, and I think that's that 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 that's a sort of trend that we've seen in the market over the last few years. Hashtag loyalty has been a CRM for any offline business. The goal was how do we kind of help businesses move to digital marketing, uh, 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 help them with loyalty, reservations, feedback, marketing automation, Facebook ads, everything. How can they do it simply via a tool? So we've been doing that successfully over the last 4 or 5 years. I think starting March, each one of us realized that we had to go back to the drawing board. I think in terms of how are we going to not only ensure that our startup or our product survive, but also thrives. And I think that was a sort of a start point for us. So that's when sort of Thrive was born. Thrive is in simple words, a Shopify for restaurants. The idea was to focus on one industry and help them create a product which they can not only survive but also thrive, not only in this time but in the coming times as well. So the idea was to put together a set of tools that enables them to to just do better, right? I mean, and that was the goal. So it's still early days, but I'm glad we've been able to put together a really nice marketplace, a really nice tool. We're working with about uh, more than 2,000 restaurants now the last 3 months, and we've been able to add some serious value. So I think that's where we are. I think journey is just getting started for us. Although we've been in the entrepreneurial space for some time. I think every product from inception to scale is its own journey in itself, and I think I'm personally quite excited because we're going through that cycle of explosive growth again, and I think that's something that sort of invigorated me and the entire team. So exciting times, and let's see how it goes.
Thank you, Dhruv. So I'm definitely looking forward to diving deeper into all of this. But for me, when it comes to understanding the journey of hashtag loyalty earlier this year, when the sector and the economy and the world went into lockdown, it's definitely going to create an existential challenge for a startup that how long and how can we navigate this uncertainty. So help us understand a bit more about this pivot or rather focus because I don't think hashtag loyalty core business is still on, but Thrive as a focal area. What led to this decision, and also then we'll dive into other aspects.
Yeah. So I think it's very theoretical, but and everyone knows that we need to speak to our customers, right? I mean, it's something very obvious, but to do it in a structured manner is what reaps a lot of benefits. So I think that's what we did. I think starting March, we went through who our clients are, who do we work with. I mean, in our terms, we call it ICP. It's called the sort of the identical customer profile, right? Who do we want to sort of go after? Who is that ideal customer of ours, right? So these are the sort of people that we spoke to understand where are they today, how do they sort of see their industry sort of evolving over the next 3, 6, 12 months, and what sort of path do they see for themselves. I think that's when we absorbed a lot of information from these customers, and then sort of put together a tool set. I think a lot of people don't know. Our first knee-jerk reaction was this small campaign that we had done called Save Local. Save Local was went live on 30th March. It was a gift card portal where you could buy gift cards of businesses that are shut at the moment at 20% discount, and go and redeem them once the places open up. We'd be surprised. I mean, we ran the campaign just for 1 month through April. We generated close to about 8 lakhs of gift cards at a time where customer spend was at its minimum. So I think that sort of showed us that the world is filled with empathy, and that a lot of customers care about the businesses that they work with. And so that was kind of the start. And while we knew Save Local is a campaign, it was pivotal in terms of how it led to sort of the I would say the pillars for what we're doing at Thrive. I think it made us understand a lot about the industry. So I think that was these were few instances I think that happened very early in March and April. With Thrive, right? I mean, to keep it short, uh, 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 the industry, the restaurant industry, gets revenue from online and offline. Everybody knows that. Online has low margins, offline has high margins. When you take away offline, online doesn't make sense. I mean, everybody in the industry knows that. So the idea was, how do we create an alternate to an aggregator? And I mean, we position ourselves as a new form of aggregation. We're not an aggregator, but it's a new form of aggregation, and that's something that we took as a concept to these customers. We got a brilliant reception from the brands. We got tons of brands to sort of pre-sign up, and I think that was indication that we're on the right path with the right product. And then we took it from there.
So, if I've understood this correctly, it came to a point where you're going up head to head with your Zomato and your Swiggy, and with regards to not just like how the online aggregator eats into the margins, but like helping revive offline as well. That
Yeah.
your core needs of the restaurant is something that you're catering to, and I believe there is an entire end-to-end supply that Thrive is providing with. Wow. Um, I I do believe that there is a lot of good that startups can do, and to find a positive story such as your own, which is that the hospitality sector was down, and at that point you chose to pick up the mantle. How's the response been from customers trying to use Thrive, and how's this happening? The restaurant initiates and runs these campaigns with its customers, while you provide the platform and the support for the restaurant to be able to do that, if
Yeah.
I'm correct.
No, you're absolutely correct. So I think with aggregators, at the end of the day, offer a bundled solution. I mean, if I were to jump deeper, uh, 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 delivery is about you ordering on the application, a rider coming in, sense of payments, menu management. So there are different verticals to the entire food ordering space, right? What we did was we said, okay, we'll unbundle it, right? There is a specialist who looks after these services, whether it's a payment gateway, whether it's a logistics company, whether it's a marketing management tool, be it ours or a third party. We said there are specialists in this space. Let us unbundle food delivery, food ordering as a whole, and focus on building a platform that enables brands to do that, right? Because as you know, we're a vast country, right? I mean, brands are at different stages, different geographies. There are so many sort of permutation combinations in terms of the ecosystem. The best way to kind of scale a product was to build a platform. So essentially what we do is, right, we tell a restaurant, hey, we'll give you a Thrive link, right, and you tell your customers about it. And if as a customer you visit that Thrive link, you get the same experience of an aggregator. Your menus, your add-ons, you check out, your addresses are saved, payment details are saved, and things like that. and one of our partner riders picks up the order, gets it to you within 30 minutes. With payment gateways, we went an additional step. Aggregators do 7-day settlement. We said we'll do T+1. Times are such, you need money in your account immediately. So the idea was to kind of unbundle this entire space, and that's what's different about it, because a Shopify for restaurants has been around. I mean, with Shopify and a lot of others have taken a crack at it. But what we've seen is nobody's wanted to get their hands dirty with payments, with logistics, with settlement, with everything, right? I mean, because that's the true value of the aggregator, not only the acquisition that comes in, right? So I think those are essentials that we felt being in the ecosystem, in the hospitality ecosystem with the last 5 years, we had understood these things. So we positioned the product in a very particular way. So I think that it's been welcoming. I think customers have adopted the platform. In fact, we've recently got a bunch of restaurants who've gone off Zomato and Swiggy that are pushing their entire business onto our platform. So that's a great sign for me, because that's the ultimate goal. But it's a long way. I mean, aggregators are here to exist. There's no doubt. I'm a consumer at the end of the day. There is a sense of discoverability that they bring in, but the idea is we will add more to the product, more to the kind of restaurants, make it easier for customers. So it's a long way to go, but the platform adds a lot of value to these guys.
No, and it gives you a base to innovate further upon, right? Like with your experience and in terms of your loyalty programs as well, you run a lot of not just standard loyalty, but even customized loyalty as per the needs. I remember there was back in the day what you could kind of get access to the counter and add different fillings onto your ice cream and whatnot. So
Yeah.
I mean, there's you guys have done quite a few things in your journey.
No, no, absolutely. I think we tried to do a lot of experiential rewards. I think where nobody had corrected us at that point was these are not scalable rewards, and they were marketable rewards. So I think that was a mistake at that point. But for a core audience, it was amazing. For a small core audience. But yeah, see, one difference at least in our learning with hashtag loyalty, we were an outbound growth, sort of a sales growth organization, right? We used to go sell, we used to bring on business. Uh, uh, what we realized over the years was, right, when you're in India and you're focusing on SMB, you cannot be a sales led organization. You need to be a marketing led organization where brands come to you rather than you go to them, because there are just too many, and if you want to do it at a really large scale. So I think that was a key learning that we had picked up over the last couple of years, especially. And with Thrive, focus was how do we create that experience where even if you're a restaurant owner, if you're ordering, you're ordering from a Thrive website, right? So you can inquire by clicking on that button to register a business. So I think that's been key. You'd be surprised, 80% of our restaurants have come through inquiries. 80%. So I think that's a great sign. And it was the other way around. I mean, earlier with hashtag loyalty, we'd had 80 which were about sales led, and 20 which would be about inbounds. But that's the difference, and I think that's key. I mean, for anybody who's looking at India as a market to scale a SaaS business. I mean, that's one thing to look at.
And you shared some very interesting insights about SaaS based businesses, especially in the sector that you're in. There's like large behemoths, and then there's the small guys, and you're there in the nimble space, not too small, not too big, but like ready to challenge the Goliath. So would love to hear a bit more on about SaaS from you, because you've been there, you're practicing. What are some of the insights you can share for other SaaS-based founders or people who are planning to get into more SaaS-based activities?
So we're actually we had joined a SaaS accelerator a while back. It goes by the name Opeka, and to cut short, basically it creates a community of SaaS founders who share insights of of what they're doing in different markets, different industries. But one thing that we all have in common is SaaS is about recurring revenue, right? I mean, it's a subscription-based product, so you are to sign long-term deals, whether you take your cash upfront, 12 months, 6 months, whatever it is, but it's a recurring business. So as a recurring business, every month you're supposed to add on new business, right? I mean, if you want to hit certain goals, right? So I mean, a number that we had that we were sort of told, and we over the years saw evolving, is about 6 to 7%, right? I mean, as a SaaS business, if you're not growing your we call it MRR, which is a monthly recurring rate, by 6 or 7%, then something is wrong, right? I mean, you need to make changes to your pricing, product, your market, something, right? Something's not fitting. But if you're crossing that 6 or 7%, right, it is working, right? And that means you focus more on expansion rather than trying to correct a part of your strategy. So I think that's been key. I think very early when we joined the accelerator, we had a 3-step process with them. Very simple, right? Who is your ideal customer? We had to actually write it down in terms of their characteristics, and we learned so much about them just by writing the ideal customer down. Second step was, I mean, we know it's product market fit is a widely used term, but the way you go about product market fit is, are they paying you an amount that you want, not just a low fee negotiated value and things like that. So I think that was number two. And number three is, if you were to scale this product with a large percentage of the market, are you going to be at 10 million in terms of recurring business, or 50 million, 100 million? Is there even a play, right, on paper? So I think those are very sort of 3 very specific steps, from ICP to the product market fit to the market. I think that's something that every founder should look at very early, and obviously then try to get it right, but keep making those changes. So it's been a very interesting journey. In fact, with for Thrive, right, although we are SaaS, but 6, 7, 12% doesn't fly for our kind of product, right? Because we're going like MSMB, every restaurant, everybody. So we're in high double digits, but the ethos is still the same, right? Is who is the customer? Is he willing to pay the value? And can you get a really large pie of this market? So that
Right.
is the same.
And I'd want to circle back to this. There's an observation that I would love for the audience to also learn from, which is the approach you've taken, Dhruv. I've noticed that you have mitigated risk across as you moved along. You've moved on key metrics. You've been revenue generating business from the after you set up, and it's you've been focused on core fundamentals, and literally the word when I think Dhruv is focused into his startup, he knows where he wants to go. You, Krishi, Karan, all of you guys, when it comes to the way you've operated hashtag and now Thrive, it's a lot of admiration that I feel that, you know, one of the startups in this country have gone through a beautiful path. And the way you were part of Thinkubate, and you were part of the accelerator that you mentioned, and maybe a few other programs. So in terms of the pedigree, I definitely think that you guys have proven quite a few aspects, that you stay on track, you stay with the ecosystem, you've accessed a lot of community-based resource platforms as well. So a few reflections from that point and where you've reached today. I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think to be honest, it's been an eye-opening journey. I mean, every year I think we're better operators. I mean, I won't call us only founders. I mean, we are still on ground, operating on a day in day out. So I think we've without a doubt gotten better every year. Every time I look at the previous year, we realize things we did wrong, things we could have done better, and sort of reflect on that. In terms of, before I get to the community, right? I think one key point for us over the years has been, what is our North Star metric, right? I mean, at the end of the day, a product or a company can have only one North Star, right? That's how it works. You can't have different KPIs, this and that you're managing. Everyone in the organization should know that at the end of the month, end of the quarter, end of 6 months, that's the number that we're going after, and all of us work towards it. I think so. Over time, we've learned that North Star education is key amongst the three of us, and more importantly, the entire team. So I think that's been key. That's been something that we've implemented maybe only in the last 18 months or so, and I've seen a stark difference in focus for the entire team, because everyone knows what are we trying to do, right? I mean, that's the result, right? So that's that. I mean, in terms of the communities, right? I mean, it's a very it's a very personal topic for us. I think with back in the day with Thinkubate, right? I mean, we had just gotten started. Joining Thinkubate was a sense of validation that we're building something which will evolve. I think we did our first pivot in Thinkubate itself, and scaled from there. And even after that, I think we've with our seed investors that have come on, or our pre-series A, or the second accelerator we joined, I think Upeka, that was a pivotal moment. I'll be honest with you. I speak very highly of that accelerator. I think it's one of India's best SaaS accelerators, or I think even in and around. I mean, I haven't come through a community that is as strong as ours, and as together as us. So I think that's been wonderful. But that kind of support and education that you get is unparalleled. I mean, there's no doubt. I think if you're part of a community that has a common goal in terms of what your product is, how you're growing, how can you exchange sort of ideas, how can you sort of help each other, more importantly, right? A lot of people don't know this, but early on in March or April, when we were not doing much revenue, right, because of the shutdown and things like that, we in fact shared a bunch of our resources with another startup in Opeka who paid 100% salary of those guys, because they weren't required for those for a couple of months, right? And that just helped us always stay positive in terms of cash flow, right? So these are small things that go such a long way, because they the impact it has. I mean, if anything touches your bottom line, right? You know the impact it creates. So that was a great example for me around how communities can come together and and
Right.
and and, and build things.
That's heartwarming to hear, and I'm glad that these spaces exist, and been working in community ourselves. We hope that we can generate this kind of value as well. But it usually, in reflection, it's creating that intimacy and that tight bond and trust. It usually, you gotta grind people through a program to kind of get them to respect and trust the process, and form that bond between each other. Really cool, man. Um, Coming back to some of the aspects that helped you stay focused and keep your eye on the prize. So, what strategies or tactics do you feel that when you mentioned that you created this function which allowed for people who were ordering to also sign up if they were a restaurant owner, or this visibility or this function, you identified this as a funnel or a way to convert, and then you tested this hypothesis and move forward. On those lines, what else do you feel were tactics that work for you in your sector or for SaaS startups in general?
Yeah, yeah. So I think first thing that we did was, right. We had to classify as a must-have and a need-to-have, right? I mean, I think that's what we did with hashtag loyalty. It's a growth marketing tool, so it is not a must-have. A business that is not doing well and does not have the appetite to grow does not need a growth product, right? It's for founders who aspire to grow, right?
So I think that was the first thing. With Thrive, what we realized, this is a must have. I mean, if you don't have it, you are losing money every day. I mean, you like I mean, if I run through the numbers, on an average, we help businesses earn 18% more per order, right? That's a big number for wafer thin sort of industries such as hospitality, right? So the idea was first to come up with a must-have product, right? I mean, in such times you realize that if I'm enabling someone, I have to actually enable them that to survive, right? I mean, and that was the first step. I think that's something that we did, and I think we chose a wise product in hindsight. Second step for us was uh, 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 over the years, right, we've been accustomed to generate more than we burn. I mean, that's just the way we operate. I don't know if it's good or bad. I get a lot of advice against it. Uh, in no, no, especially I mean when we're going through the investment cycle, right? At times you need to achieve higher growth metrics over the next 6-12 months and things like that. So I mean there is merit in that way of growing as well. But either way, I think at that point we didn't have access to funds, so we could only burn what we generate. So I think that was interesting. The idea was to create a business model that is accepted and works, right? I mean, at scale. So I think that's something that a lot of brands feel that, I will figure out pricing later, or I will figure out a way to generate revenue later. I think that sounds great, but doesn't work out most of the time. I mean, guys who can make it work are an exception, and hats off to them. But the idea was to kind of have a business model. I think that was sort of step two. Third, like you mentioned, right? How do we pull more than we push, right? I mean, and that was a very specific strategy, at least to me personally. The area of the business that I was looking at with hashtag loyalty, uh, I was very certain we're not going to land a brand through an outbound sale. It is not scalable in India. So I think that was something that we were very particular on from day one. So if you notice the way we branded the product, we branded it as a hybrid aggregator, right? Every brand that we work with, they don't have their own link, they have a Thrive link, right? Every time you order, on the footer there is ordered by Thrive, right? So the idea was, we won't charge them a setup fee, we won't charge them a exorbitant fee, but we'll incorporate this into our strategy, and we'll try to create our own brand while we give out a platform. And I think this is a rising trend in SaaS. If you notice over the years, smaller products that we use on a day-to-day basis, whether it's a payment gateway like a Razorpay or a CC Avenue and things like that, you'd always know who you're using, right? At the end of the day. So I think that's a growing trend, and I think that's here to stay. So I think SaaS companies who feel that, you know what, no, I just need to put a product out and I need to generate revenue. That's not the way to go. There is a sense of branding that comes in today, which allows for repeatable sales, right? So I think that's key, and that's growing significantly. Like,
So instead of white labeling your platform, and you've gone with your own brand as an approach there. And I think that creating a trust and a recall and a kind of familiarity with the experience, and plugging your brand there, that's bravery, yo. That's where you put your theory to the test, where you convinced your stakeholders, investors, co-founders, colleagues, everyone, that we have an opportunity here. We are now credible enough to command this kind of support. I think the market's also growing in terms of acceptance of not just a Zomato or a Swiggy, because they've kind of tried to become the Google of this space, right? If I were to say. Um, how do you feel about going up against a giant or being even pitted there? Do you feel like you're in competition? How do you perceive your
so
competition?
so I mean, my sales pitch and my answer to you are going to be different. But to be honest, we've been very certain that aggregators are here to stay. I mean, I'll give you a split on how it works, right? As a customer, when you visit a Zomato, Swiggy, you either try to discover a brand, or you know a brand that you want to order from, right? It's one of the two. I won't get into percentage splits and things like that. We're going after the second, which is if a customer knows where they want to order from, then they come on Thrive. It gives them the same experience, slightly cheaper, given that we don't add uh, uh, uh,
Much
uh,
margin on the
various
delivery.
fees and things like that. And restaurant menus are generally cheaper because restaurants put a markup when they're on these platforms. So the idea is we offer that value proposition to this particular customer. It's a small set to start with, but the idea is it's big enough in the context of India and in restaurants to get started. I don't think we are up against aggregators at this point. I mean, we have to learn to coexist, but there's a portion of transactions and orders that we believe should be on our platform and not theirs. So if that can be considered competition, I don't think even they do. I've had enough conversations with,
If your competitors start doing what you're doing, I think you would have transformed the entire sector.
yeah.
It would have definitely helped, because 20-30% margin is, or maybe even 40% margin, I think, on certain sales. It sounds like a monopoly and a giant that the hospitality sector, when I spoke to some of my friends that were like, when it initially came to where they started renegotiating or how they kind of operate, it's become a little impersonal. It's definitely impersonal. It's very high. So they come on, they give you discovery, and then they go off. And then this whole discount mentality. I'd love to talk to you about the discount mindset, or what have you observed on the behavioral side of customers, and when it comes to pricing, and how do you approach loyalty? I think that should be our ending note for today.
No, absolutely. I think quick summary. This business is not an easy business. I mean, I've told everyone in our team as well. I mean, if you are joining us in this journey, and even for new people that we're bringing on today, it's not an easy business, and uh, uh, it involves a lot of people, whether it's logistics, whether it's restaurant managers, whether it's the end consumer. When you get so many stakeholders together, right, and you want something done in a very short time, something will go wrong, right? So the idea is, how do we mitigate that as a product, as a company, and things like that. So I think that's been key. But uh, when I look at aggregators in this space, and when they charge these amounts, at times there are instances, if they are able to solve these problems that we're trying to solve, which they haven't, right, then maybe they can take a portion of that fee, but I still feel they're far away from that, right? That's my personal understanding. In terms of discounting, I mean, uh, 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 it is what it is, man. It's a sad state. I think it any and I'm really glad there are restaurateurs or operators that are getting into this space that realize that they cannot survive that way, right? I mean, that fad is gone. I think it was there a few years, 5-6 years back, went on for a few years. I think that's gone. We still have a lot of smaller businesses in tier 2, tier 3 city that when you tell them that I will get you a customer, their eyes lit up, right? Because they've been operating with the same set of 500 customers within a 3 kilometer radius for the last 20 years, 15 years, 10 years. For them, it's like wow, right? But what they don't realize is that the business economics don't make sense, right? I mean, and that's something that more mature businesses, more evolved businesses understand, but we're getting there. Like you said, right? The hospitality industry is moving and growing at a rapid pace, and I think our role is not only as a platform but also as an educator, right? To put more transparency around in terms of what you have made and what you could have made, right? In terms of especially food delivery. So yeah, so I'll leave it to that. I think still a long way to go for us in terms of the scale we want to achieve. But the initial growth has been very promising, and that's something that I'm very proud of. Yeah.
I think it's an open blue sky for y'all. Or the ground if you're staying rooted with the sector that's infrastructure heavy. What I would leave you with would the audience with would be a closing note on the theme of Intuit Circles is powering prosperity. So if you had to put your best wish out there for powering prosperity, how would you like to sign off with an address from Thrive powering prosperity for the economy or sector?
Yeah, no, I think this is not at a probably at a Thrive level, but for each one of us, I think we need to give more than we take at this point. I think with how times are, it's difficult. I mean, for each one, mentally, physically, in terms of monetarily and things like that. So I think we should give without thinking of anything in return, whether it's knowledge, opportunities, or anything. And I think that's what we're trying to do at Thrive. Give more than we take at this point, and I'm hoping lot more people join this bandwagon over the next 6-12 months, because things are going to improve slowly but surely, right? I mean, it's not going to happen instantly. So I think I'll leave it to that.
Thanks, Dhruv. And I appreciate you taking the time. And I look forward to perhaps catching up with you as soon as this lockdown gets done. But thank you. And I'll
Yeah.
sign off.
Thank
Ciao.
you, Kiran. Thank you so much.
Thank you.